All right, and we are live. Welcome to the cooking demonstration. Thank you all for joining us. So this week is all about knives, how to safely use a knife, the different parts of a knife, what you should look for when buying a knife, and what you should be careful of when buying a knife. So first, we'll just get into some of these knives. Who has a set of knives at home? I do too. One thing, I go into people's homes and I see they have a giant set of knives in a big block, maybe like 50 knives. So you go into Walmart and you say, oh, that set's got 50 knives, that's all I need. You put it in your cart, you go. It's pretty cheap. They work. They're not that great usually. Usually they're all serrated. They're made out of something called stamped steel. And when you go to buy a knife, most of them are made of a type of steel. Then they're sharpened different ways. They're made different ways. But stamped steel is they have a piece of steel that's thinned out with a giant roller, and then a giant form comes down and stamps that blade shape out. And then they grind an edge on it like that to make it sharp. This makes a knife very economical, but it also, a knife like this, it's a cheaper knife. It won't stay as sharp as long. It will be easier to sharpen. It's more apt to chip, but it's a cheap knife. And when you go to Walmart and buy one of those sets with 50, all those knives are going to be out of stamped steel. I mean, usually they're serrated. And I don't recommend going that route with 50. I'd rather spend that same amount and get 3. And it's a good segue. The 3 knives I'd recommend to have are a serrated bread knife like this. It's got some serrations on it. It's good for bread. It's good for peeling melons, tomatoes. It's a great all-purpose knife, not just for bread. I recommend a chef knife. And they come in all different shapes and sizes, from 6 inches to 13 inches. And the last one is a little knife like this. It's called a paring knife. And it gets its name from pears. Actually, it gets its name when they were, I won't get too deep into it, but in the Middle Ages, you'd have a paring knife to pair the blows. And then we won't go that far into it, but a little paring knife. So you can get rid of the 80 steak knives. Get a knife that's made with a good quality steel. It's not stamped steel. But what is that? So we'll take a look. These knives we use here, these are forged. That means they're heat treated. They warm up the steel, they cool the steel, and that makes it stronger. It helps with edge retention. What that basically does is there are little carbon atoms in the steel that come from reheating and different elements they add. And when they're heated and cooled, those little carbon atoms get locked into the fiber of the steel, and carbon is very strong. It's also brittle, but it's very strong. And that carbon helps keep the knife really sharp and reduces how often you have to sharpen it. So we used forged ones here, and they're a little more expensive, but you can go up in price. This is one from home. This is a Japanese knife. It's got really nice steel. It's got a wavy pattern on there. It's pretty, but it's more expensive, and you don't need this. And then finally, there's another knife that's made with Japanese tool steel. This will stay sharp forever, but you're going to pay a lot of money for it. And oftentimes, you might have seen a difference in the handles of these two. This is a compressed plastic, and this is wood. If you get a knife like this, you'll never have to worry about bacteria or water getting into that seam. Because once it gets in there, it's very difficult to get out, and that will ruin a nice knife. So you could spend $500 on a nice knife, and maybe forget one time to wipe it down correctly, and it will start cracking over time.
See, I thought those were the better knives because it goes right through the handle instead of just being inserted.
That's an excellent point. And that's a good segue. That's called full tang that you brought up. Yeah. The tang of the knife goes right through, and that is really good. So if you do get one of these, know to clean it and dry it as soon as you can. But that tang is excellent. And that's a good point with the Farberware knives, or I shouldn't say the name brand, but a cheaper knife, is it's actually happened to me where you're cutting and it's starting to get dull, but you want to get that job done and you're pressing a little harder. And that little piece of metal that's in those knives can break and snap and hurt you. So it's nice to get a quality knife. This steel does run through. It's more quality grip, and these will last forever. But if I were to give you any advice for buying knives, I would go to TJ Maxx. I go and take a look at the knives they have there, and look for some of the qualities of the knife and the steel. Some good brand names for home use. Forstner's really good. Victorinox is good. That's what these are. They're pretty much the same brand, same construction. They do have a tang that goes into the blade, but they're very safe. The handles are safe, food safe, and easy to clean. And they may not.
I just need some clarification on something I need.
Yes.
So, you talked about this being not good for bacteria, etc. Then you talked about it being good structurally.
Yes.
So from a professional point of view, what is better? Do you have this like this, or to have one like this?
I would say for at home, I would go with these, and at work I'd go with these. If you want something to take care of that looks really nice, and you're willing to take the time to take care of it, get one of these. They are more expensive. Like price difference between these two, this one can run in between $20 and I don't know, maybe $50, but you can get better deals. This will cost about $100 or more, and then up to $250 or more. So spend wisely and feel the knife, feel the heft of it, how heavy it is. And if it's comfortable, if you can pick it up, make sure it's comfortable. But I'd go with something easy to clean, that you won't be afraid to drop on the floor.
So it really goes full tang with plastic, then full tang on wood, and then plastic.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tangless.
And those are the ones to stay away from.
Yeah.
And you will know when you pick one up, once you feel one of these, like, oh, this doesn't feel right. And if it doesn't feel right, then don't use it. These are potentially dangerous tools we have to respect. This is another one I just wanted to show you. This is called a ceramic knife. It's made of cubic zirconium, the same type of material you get in a near diamond ring. These are wonderfully sharp, but let's say, I said carbon was really brittle, but very strong. Same with this. This is stronger than steel. It's sharper than steel, but it's incredibly brittle. And you could actually see on the tip there, where I've actually dropped it on the floor, and that piece, I have no idea where it went. And so they're very brittle. So you might be cutting something, put a little weight on it, and it could break. And that's something you don't want to have in your food. They're very pretty, they're very cool, they're chic, but I wouldn't recommend these knives at home.
I saw a demonstration, the first time I ever saw one in New Hampshire, and the guy cut his finger during the demonstration, badly.
That's not good. I'm a little nervous now.
I know, but it was like, whoa, that wasn't too sharp for me.
But a sharp knife is really a safe knife. Like often people cut themselves, they have a dull knife and they're struggling to cut. And it's good to let the knife do the cutting. But that's scary to me. So we'll be more observant when we do this. So if you have any questions about knives or where to get them or good things, qualities to look at, come and find me right after the show. I'll be right here. We'll talk about them. Because there's many different places you can go.
Is serrated edge, the little ones, not like the bread knife, but are those anything to write home about?
So they call I've used, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
I've used something called micro serration, but all knives almost have that. The steel's really jagged when you look at it in a microscope.
It's hard to sharpen and pick on everything.
Are those the knives that can saw through a brick and then a tomato?
Oh.
I don't trust those. I don't know why you want to cut a brick in half anyway with a knife. But I'll take a look at that.
Yeah, just curious. I had a set once.
Well, how did you like it?
I hated it.
Well, I think that's a good example there.
Yeah.
The serrations are good for bread, but if you want to find...
I like the bread ones. They're wide, but this was like a really fine, picky edge. Didn't like it.
And the reason why they put those on those blades is because they'll never be as sharp as a forged or a folded steel blade. They have to put that serration in there to give it a bite. So would you guys like to do some cutting away. Help us make some dinner tonight?
Yeah.
All right. The first thing we have to do though is wash our hands first. So I'm going to go in the kitchen. I'm going to wash my hands, and I'd like you to join us.
I'll let you.
And remember while you're at home, wash your hands.
Absolutely. Very important. 20 seconds to scrub.
Yes. So we'll be back.
Now we have to
Put
stop.
these back out so we can, if you want to look at them.
Yes, I've done it. I have a cold, so I'm not going to touch it.
This is gorgeous. When they make these, this type of knife, they take two different kinds of steel and they stack them on each other. And they hammer them and they keep stacking. Get that pattern.
So it doesn't say how it's forged.
These knives you get.
Really? You
Yeah.
guys wear them out?
Yeah. So they all start this size with the knife company.
I'm the
then they
best
get smaller and
selector.
Like back. I always want to use like a small knife for everything, but you should use a chef's knife to cut most of your vegetables.
Well, the real rule of thumb with this is use something you're comfortable with first. A big knife is good because, well actually I'll show you why. But before we get into that, we mentioned sharpening. And there's two different things you can do with sharpening. There's sharpening and then there's honing. This type of steel you can do both. Honing is removing all the little burrs that form after you sharpen. Because in the steel, little burrs form that come up and catch the food. So when you sharpen, this kind of steel does both. This is a diamond steel. It sounds fancy, but it's not. It's really just brown diamond dust that they impregnate in the surface, which both sharpens and hones. And whenever you hone with a steel, you hold it up in front of you like this. Never away like that, but always toward and down. And the reason for that is if someone's coming around a corner or the dog is curious about what you're doing, that you're like this, you have full control. And you want to gently, just a little force, at between a 20 and 40 degree angle. And a good reference for 20 degrees or 40 degrees is 2 pennies will fit in. 40, it's about double right on that edge. And you'll go back and forth. So it's nice and sharp. A good way to tell is just to slice it with pepper and test it out. Just like
How
that.
good those the things they sell when you run a knife through it, those don't very good.
I've used those before myself, and I've seen what the scary thing about those is they produce little metal shavings. And you constantly have to wipe it off. You can by all means use those, but if you
That's better.
but you need one of these anyway. If you have one of those, yeah. Well, this will remove those little burrs that form on the blade, and you won't have any metal fibers. But always wipe the blade off when you're done doing this too, for that reason.
So that sharpens and hones.
Yes, this one does. If you feel it, it's got some grip to it. Yeah, it's like
It's
sandpaper.
like, oh
Kind of tacky a little bit.
So is this the same as those circle ones?
Yes.
Okay.
The shape of this is a little bit easier to deal with. It's longer, it's more surface area, so it's better
Yeah.
ergonomic.
Those circle ones you get in those Walmart kits for $29.99 with 20 knives. So no, that's terrible.
Well, I have one that I got with like 2 nice knives. That I
Yeah, so if you
bought.
pay for a quality knife,
Yeah.
you came with a quality.
Yeah.
But there's definitely different quality
Yeah,
stuff. Just
of
like you get
course.
what you pay for. If you
Of
buy a
course.
cheap sharpener, it's not going to sharpen a
Yeah.
good knife.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we wash our hands. We each have a chef knife that we'll start with. This one. Oh, there goes a knife on the floor. That's a good example. If a knife falls, what you do? Watch it. Yeah, well, let it fall. Get out of the way and let it fall. No matter how nice the knife, because these are way nicer. So let's start out with something fun. We'll not start at the beginning. This is a pepper. They're beautiful peppers. Would you like to cut with us, or?
I'm good watching.
All right, good.
I'm good.
So these lovely peppers. These are giant. Let's see. What I'll do. Let's see how sharp this is. I haven't used this in quite a long time. It's reasonably sharp. I'm going to use this one. So these peppers here. A fun way to cut a pepper, we're going to julienne these peppers, That means cut into little strips. That's good for salads, stir fries, just about any use in a quick cooking dish. The way I like to do peppers, we may have a different way. I slice it off the bottom and the top, carefully like that. Just put those on the side. Just a little bucket for more little things. Over julienne it, I have to make a slit and then put the knife, hold it right on the bottom of the pepper, and then slowly move that down, moving the blade back and forth. There's like a little saw with little teeth in it. And that will remove all your seeds and all the pith, which is really bitter. Then you can just discard that and have a lot of flesh with little ones. Alright, so if you guys want to try that, first, you know what, I did not specify, I jumped ahead. Whenever you use a knife, there's a first rule to follow. You'll put, I'll use this example, it's right here. You want your hand, you want your knuckles at a 45-degree angle to the blade. You want to make contact. Because what that will do, number one, will give you a line of sight how to cut down. And we can work together. If you're not comfortable, you don't have to do it. But lead your fingers down, and as you cut through, you'll be moving against your knuckles. You got your finger out if you get cut, so we want all the parts right behind your finger. We'll do this together.
How do you hold the knife, Andy?
How do you hold a knife? There's a few different ways. There's a French way, where you hold it just with the blade like this. Get out of here. I don't know what he's telling you to do over there. So, yes, that is a good one. So, you can hold a knife like this. Hold it firmly but comfortably. Don't hold it too hard. Another way to do it is you can all right on the blade, on the steel of the blade. You'll kind of pinch it like this. And this is more of a Japanese way of doing it. I like to do this because you have more control over the blade. You can really feel it. The way not to hold it is like this. You might see this in kitchens. My father does this and try to stop it. But this, if you feel, compare the feeling of just having it in your hand and having your finger like this. It's not as secure with your finger like this. You're putting pressure unnecessarily on the spine and less on the grip part of the knife. So there's less control with your hand like this. So I'll demonstrate on this one. We've done this. We've cut it already down. And we're going to, against our knuckles, we're going to rock the knife very simply, or conversely, you can drag the knife through to make cuts. Do it to cut this one. Right. You're taking a big leap. So that's good. With your thumb, park it right behind the other fingers. It might be difficult.
Yeah, I experienced my fingernail off last week.
Did you?
Yeah, so,
So you have some.
I also have a thumb thing. So with my nails, it's more difficult.
That's a, you can actually put your knuckles on there too. Park them right down there. Yeah. And if the knife gives you resistance, it's good. Remember, keep those fingers.
That's what I can't do.
I know it's not easy, and you don't have to do it this way either.
I have
That's a good
here.
technique.
Oh, I'm leaving seeds in here.
That is okay. So that's good.
Press down on the pepper a little flat.
Yeah. Keep that knife flat, you can roll the pepper. So the shape of the pepper will help you cut it. Nice job there.
Stuff out of the middle.
I got a lot of seeds.
Wash them off.
That's fine.
I didn't get rid of them like he did.
So, believe me, I've been doing a lot of peppers. I see a case of peppers and I smile. So, one thing about a knife when you're using it, it's got little teeth in there. And if you think the more surface area of that knife you cover when you cut, the finer that cut will be and the easier it will be.
Kind of slim down the side.
I think one thing I think happens a lot with domestic cutting at home kind of thing, kind of kitchen type things, is that people try to chop things like this because their knives aren't sharp, so they end up sort of going like this, it's because you don't have a sharp knife. So that's why the importance of having the real sharp knife, because you don't really chop unless you do cut it.
Technique, very, very good technique. So you have the finger action, but it looks like you're comfortable with that. So you've got the pinch grip. Get right on there. Have a little pinch there.
I can't drag my fingers, that's the thing. I don't feel comfortable.
You don't, but the way you're comfortable.
No, I'm like that, and that's why I gotta learn to not use my fingers.
What you all didn't know is you're actually getting the wellness station ready for service. So I see most of you are doing with the skin on the bottom. You're doing it with the skin on the top. It's a little easier to do the skin on the bottom because you're pulling, the skin gives you some resistance. And you have to put a little more.
Oh yeah, you do these pieces too?
Sure. And we'll chop up the tops. Now I cut myself a long time ago. I had a really nice knife. I was a young chef and I was inspired by another chef. He was quick, he was fast, he was knowledgeable. He had cool, expensive knives, so I went and bought a nice, expensive, sharp knife. And one morning I'm cutting, and Chef Sean, what's going on? How's it going over there? He's like, how are you coming on that celery? And I said, I'm coming what? I don't remember what I said, but all I remember is hearing
Cut
that
your finger.
crunch. And part of my finger was gone. It rolled off somewhere.
I would have quit cooking.
So after that day, I for a little coaching, I respected the tools in the kitchen. So I recommend not doing that first.
I don't know how people do it fast.
It takes time and repetition. I really appreciate you guys doing this today. Excellent.
So we chop it.
That's a good job.
So when it gets down to, like say you want it to seem a bit, I would suggest, like I usually just do this because I get afraid of my fingers.
Yeah, that's fine. You can do that, but the more comfortable you get, the more when you practice having it close, you'll get more comfortable and you get in a pattern. But always remember the first thing is grab it without your fingers. And it's hard not being distracted at home. But just take a minute to say, okay, number one, I've got my knife out, it feels comfortable. Take a breath, get whatever you're cutting, say, okay, all my fingers are out of the way, and I'm going to dedicate 3 minutes to cutting this pepper. So you all have really nice cuts. So what we'll do is we'll put your peppers in the boxes, and I'll separate the
How do you put these
peels.
tops? You don't want
The
them?
tops,
The
those
laser?
are fine. Oh, I'll use them. I'll just
I
separate
did
them.
them skinny.
We could separate them.
Put them all up.
Good idea.
Separate them all?
You can put the tops in there too.
Jackie, how many fingers you got left?
So far,
Yeah, that would be great.
see, I don't know.
But that was-
It's the onions.
Those are really nice. So you go ahead.
Oh, yes, the
Good
onions.
They
techniques.
make me cry.
So I'm a little more confident. You can put away the Band-Aids.
Is there a trick so you don't cry with onions?
Yes.
Wear contacts.
There is.
Yes.
You can either put on a mask, which I don't recommend, or you can put them in the fridge for about an hour. Because that will help stop that chemical reaction from taking place. When you cut them, I think it's sulfur dioxide or something is released whenever you break the skin. But the sharper your knife is, the less likely that's going to get airborne.
You know what else works? Small fan.
Small thing. You can load it somewhere. So what do you guys want to do next? We have 3 different things. Who knows what this is?
Peruvian blue.
Yes.
Peruvian, is that what it's called? Peruvian?
I believe that is what this is. A blue potato. So we can do a blue potato, we can do a carrot, or an onion. Next. Let's do a blue potato.
Save the onion for last.
Yes, good idea.
Yeah, because you might be
I always save the onion for last when I chop.
And that's-
It hangs around less.
So we'll
I'm good,
we'll
Claire.
cut
Thank you for
this one.
sharing, though. You're a good girl.
We're going to cut this one into brunoise, which is really small dice. We don't have to cut the whole thing, maybe half the potato. But we'll start this the same way. First, we'll get comfortable with our knife. Kind of get in a nice standing position so we're comfortable. We'll make sure all our fingers are out of the way and that we're at about a 45-degree angle. some chefs say that you have to be like this. That's not comfortable for me. I cut it at an angle, but it's really what you're comfortable with. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to cut off one edge of that potato, like that. It doesn't matter if it's thick or thin. Excellent. Awesome. Let's see.
Want this one?
I'm gonna trade.
Yeah, sure.
That is good. That was a good, safe knife pass. Let's see.
Say here. She can go like that.
Okay. So we've cut the bottom of the potato off. Thanks for being patient. So we've cut off the bottom, and what that has done is given a flat surface for that potato to sit on. So now it's a little more easy to deal with. And now what we're going to do, leave that potato piece right next to it. And we'll try it pretty hard, but you'll use your knife, plant the tip of the knife down. You're going to drag that knife through. And we're going to do it nice and thin, like such.
Maybe put your thumb when you're doing this stuff.
Actually, I'll show you. We're going to go about this thick.
I'm afraid of cutting
Or
them.
thicker, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
We're going to slice.
Oh, behind. And you can still hold it from sticking.
Yeah, you don't use the thumb to hold it at all. Especially because you've got this solid thing like that. So.
All right, I'll try it.
It's hard
You're
when
doing
you
well.
close to cut it. It's a different way, yeah.
Right, it is breaking a habit, and I've learned over the years. Because I was in culinary school,
I'm still nervous about like.
You know what? That's a good example.
It's hard
We'll
to
actually
do
use
that too, like you can't hold it like this. It's like,
You shouldn't be afraid of your knuckles being right up against your knife either.
your knuckles being right there are really a guide for your knife.
how do you do the other, like with that close?
So when we've got the other side of the potato, we'll put it right on the board. I'd say that thick glass slice that we just can't get through.
Cut it straight out.
Yeah. And this one I want to tell you, this one isn't a starting point. This is something you do after a while. So if you don't feel comfortable, I don't want you doing this one. But what we do in the kitchen is we have it flat, and our thumb down, and we go through. So I don't recommend we do that one this time.
That's what I do at home.
Yeah. But if you're not comfortable, don't do it here. That's okay. But we keep it flat, we get down, and we just draw the blade
No, I
back.
just don't want to hit your elbow or
Oh,
something.
okay.
Jackie's like, I'm doing it anyway. And the reason we do
I
it
did it away from me.
the reason we do it with our palm and not our fingertips is because your fingers, you're more apt to slip, and your fingertips are really sensitive. You need those.
Yeah.
They don't
You're
grow
doing
back.
good. Oh, aren't you clever?
These things are.
Yeah, the colors are
Well,
good.
I don't.
we can leave these as they are. So
Ten pieces.
we've got these all cut. Jackie, you
I
want-
cut kind of wide.
That's fine.
I wasn't even.
Probably get one out of that.
That's an interesting.
You would never make mashed potatoes.
I've tried.
Really?
They're a little waxy. They're a little
I mean,
waxy.
the color would be kind of weird, but
They're a fun color to.
So you did a good job. This time.
You did a great job. So we've got the stack, and we had that the first end piece we have here. And what we'll do with this one is we'll take these potato in the stack and we'll push it down. So it's kind of like some cards.
Blade.
Yes. And that end of the potato kind of acts as an end of a bookcase. It's a stopper. It'll help these from moving. Yeah. You can have the stack right toward you.
Or you make it go spread
Yeah,
out.
you can go ahead and flatten it like that. That's good. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to create matchsticks or julienne. A julienne is thicker. Julienne is the one with the peppers. It's a little thicker for salads. Matchstick is even thinner than a julienne, but we don't have to go there. We can just do julienne. Basically, with this one, you're going to go right over, and because it's stacked like this, you're going to maximize your cuts without making as many cuts. These. Now you can inherit these.
And what do you
Then-
do with that?
With these,
Yeah.
Well, with these, actually, I don't have a plan for these.
I don't like this.
They're a little slippery. But you can park right up, get your hand right against that blade, and draw it free. And it might help.
It moves.
You can, if you move your blade through the food, or you can. That's
This is
very
just
good.
how it's happening.
You're doing well. And once you get to the end, if you're not comfortable, you can stop.
That's such a neat way to do that.
It is. This can save you a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
It'll take a little bit to get used to, but you can cut.
Especially for the kids.
You could, so you could do zucchini, you could do, I mean, anything, okay.
Zucchinis are great, and they are much easier than these to cut.
There my elbows.
Nice job. That's very good.
How pretty those are.
Some are wider
That's-
than others.
Sweet potato fries.
And I'll get a vessel for those so we don't mix them with the peppers.
Thank you. Nice job. You did well too. Yours are very even.
Very.
I can't do even. I'm not a
Oh, yours are rustic.
That's a lovely way to put it.
Yes. Everything is rustic.
I prefer rustic. So we pretty much made French fries. Nice to meet you.
Makes sense to me.
Who's in that show, the children cooks?
I haven't seen that.
God, it will kill you when they
Like
cook.
beets,
I
really.
thought it would.
I can't watch too much Chef Ramsay.
I know.
I don't think he's
I will
a.
say, he's very, it's the same people, but they are very sweet with his kids.
I'm glad he's sweet.
I
His
can't,
darling,
vision,
darling.
Yeah.
It's hard to see.
These kids are
So,
unbelievable.
before we get rid of these, well, I'll show you what a brunoise cut is. We did a matchstick or a julienne, but what we
yes, you did have a bigger
we
potato.
come back in the kitchen. We have about 500 pounds to get started on.
You can't make
But
French
I mean, I
fries.
have so
You
much.
you could,
But that means.
but they wouldn't be as good as the like a Norwis or a Russet. So we made a little.
Oh, I messed
Keep
them up.
that. But this, I just want to show you one technique. This is we have a little bundle here that we've cut. And if you want to make a brunoise or something that's really fine for maybe more herbs you need a little garnish, like peppers, or if you're making a really fine sauce, or you feel like cutting something instead of putting it in a blender, you can quickly take this stack that we made and you can draw the knife through it and make little teeny cuts. That's good for salsa. Do you have green to make us? For chowder, this is a good way to do these for a chowder. Nice slices. If you feel dangerous, you go.
Because I keep sticking my thumb out, sticking my hand out, holding up the wrong way.
Don't be afraid to do it
Potato
slow.
confetti.
Keep the spots, or you want them chopped?
Think of the purple's
Or you
gonna be
can
all
go
over
right
me.
there, but you can keep them just in that long. You don't have to do all of them. That technique is all.
When you come from us tomorrow, you may see these in a dish.
Stir fried in something.
What might you use these for? We were going to.
Well, these might be nice and half tomorrow. We have peppers, onions, and these in a half. We're doing a cantaloupe too, but I don't think that will make it. Oh, the squeeze right behind you. Yeah. Really well. You might cut a potato or two in your day.
I don't but I missed one.
That's okay.
Okay, you're good. You've done enough. You've done enough.
See, some are longer. Looks like I have more, like, it doesn't look that big.
You had a big spot.
It doesn't look that big when I go.
Okay, I'm going to wipe off our blades a little bit. You'll see these have a little starch on them, potato, and that's no fun to that slice.
Well, it's just the way
His
they
father
want.
did it.
So is that being pulled off or anything, or just what?
I know it's a kill off.
It is actually in a sanitizer solution.
Either that or you'll be cooking supper tonight, so.
So I wouldn't recommend using this often on your hands because it dehydrates your hands. All right. So we'll ignore the purple
Just go with
stuff.
it.
So we've
Do
got
we
a,
have to wipe the board down for the next one?
no, we don't have to. It's not necessary. I did not kill these carrots. That's okay. Hi, Raven. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Excellent. Raven cooked up a chalet with us. Really wonderful. So we have a little carrot. I'm just going to take the ends off. And it's similar with a carrot how you do the potato. Let's say if you need a stew, or if you wanted to make some matchsticks for kids or grandkids or whomever, you cut it in the same way. But the carrot's difficult because it's much more harder. It's hard to get a good grip on them. So practicing the potatoes when you do them, keep your motions the same. And when you put it down, get comfortable. Grab the knife, so it's nice and comfy, and position your fingers in such a way that you're out of the reach of the blade. So let's say we wanted to cut these in kind of matchsticks. You want to cut it in half to make it more manageable. Yeah, look at that. So we'll just take half of it. We won't do the whole thing. And the carrot's a little more difficult. So first we're going to just cut down the center. Just be careful. So,
It rolls.
want me to help you? There you go. So with these, you'll notice. Remember when you draw it through, you're using all those little teeth that are on the knife. When you draw it through, these are a little more difficult to do that with. But let's just make a little dice with these, pull it into a carrot. So cut it in half.
Are those good peppers and those orange pieces in there?
Well, that's okay. Wait a minute.
There were good peppers in there. I just noticed.
Oh, well, all the things we have here, I'm not going to throw away. I'll do the outside of this. But I'll collect the pieces.
Yeah, you can collect this is the bad stuff. Now you have seeds in here.
That's all right.
That's okay.
I don't know.
That's why they pay me to get the seeds out. So we've cut half. This is a good experiment to keep your fingers away. So let's really think about keeping the fingers out and the thumb behind. We're going to cut to the center of the carrot at an axis.
Take the flat piece.
If you go perfectly, that's
Angle your
fine too.
knife so that you're on the outer edge, but you're going towards the middle.
You can cut through like this one, just like you said.
While you tip that down.
Fingers down nice, just
that one.
draw through. And we'll just do a little bit of the carrot. So it kind of create a large matchstick here for the kids. Even if you're making soup, you would do the same motions. And the more comfortable you get, you think outside the box and maybe make a cut, turn it, make another cut. I like to think of it, I think, how can I get a similar shape out of different ways to cut it? But once we've made some matchsticks, we can do some dices. This would be good for soup.
You don't like using those
Good
fingers as a
technique.
guide, do you?
I'm afraid it's too
Lay
close.
down.
Yeah.
It's like too close for me.
Food processors are looking better and better.
Next week we'll probably food
Oh, it's
process.
going to be nice and hot.
You can line them up. You can do like little piles like that. I think if you have too much, you're going to have a lot of force. And the cuts won't be as clean. It's a little harder on your hands. Raw carrot, man.
Got about 10 minutes left then.
Only 10 minutes? Okay.
You guys on time.
All right. Well,
The students would never eat if I was here. We have to cut them like that.
Andy, thank you.
Thanks
another one of those things.
Grab these. I think we're going to start moving along. Very easy.
If you needed something.
No.
Big onion. There's a couple of different ways I think Annie can show you how to cut an onion, depending on what you want. Whether you want a dice or a slice or a ring. There's maybe 3 different ways I think.
I saw one where you cut half and cut
Just
almost
peppers.
the end.
Just peppers.
Andy. Is that the good stuff?
Yes.
I have my camera.
Yeah, those are beautiful. You guys did a really nice job on the carrots. The carrots are not easy to cut. I like them raw.
I like them
Never
raw.
buy those little tiny
I know them.
carrots.
Yeah.
They've been bleached and soaked in all sorts of weird chemicals. Very good on sides.
And they start out as big carrots.
And they run them
I
down.
just think of a giant carrot.
Not baby carrots.
Like an
I
apple.
always use those for dips and things.
No, they're terrible. And they're bleached. That's why they turn white after a while in the bag in the fridge. Because they got like chemicals in it.
So you just buy regular carrots?
So we got our onion, varying sizes from extreme to average. So with our onion, first we're going to cut off the ends. First we're going to be comfortable, have a nice comfy grip on it. We're going to cut off the ends.
They slip too much. You have to do it like this.
Yeah, did I help you with that? Check this out. Work to do.
Or make us flat in the baby.
And if you've got something that's good to do. Good for you.
Yeah.
10.
We're going left. Cut the other end.
So we're going to cut both ends off.
Both ends?
Get them in close. Nice. And see, the onion is not, it's not comfortable to do the onion so much.
Now we have to peel.
We do it for peeling. But a good way to peel it is, I'll use this as an example, we're just going to make a little notch with the blade all the way around. And you can
probably
take this one along. And you don't have to do a perfect job peeling it. There's all kinds of ways to cut it in.
Couple of these.
What we're going to do is cut peel it here. Make a nice thin cut on the side. Peel, take the peeling right off of there. You can take the first layer off too.
That's what I do.
That's fine.
Like, forget this.
We will use these in the stalks. We talked about stalks. You can actually use the ends of onions and skins.
So you just save a lot of that stuff and throw it in to make vegetables.
Hold it. Absolutely.
Oh, you do?
I wouldn't use peppers. They'll be bitter. Celery can get bitter too. This is good stuff.
Do I need to peel them in more? That's good.
Absolutely, that's great. All right, so how are you guys feeling? So good job with the onion. So the next step with the onion, we're going to cut it in half. Like that. We're going to take one half and we're going to reserve it. All right, so we've all got a half an onion. You've got 1.5 onions. So we've got our half of an onion, and we're going to have, see it's kind of conical, it's like stacked on itself. We're going to have that facing ourselves. And there's a couple of ways of doing it. The way I like to do it is, you're going to use the same technique with your fingers, like the grip, and you're going to start pulling from the center and around. And the pulling, you're using all those little teeth on that blade that are really sharp. And don't be afraid to get right on that steel of that knife. Actually, keep that knife right on the board. Jack, you're doing a good job slicing it. Just be careful with that knife.
Yeah.
If you're not,
It's sharp.
if you have to pay a lot of attention when you're cutting, because then you have to respect that blade. Good job. Nice job with that. So when you get to about this, when you've got about halfway, flip that right over the other way. So you still have that second side facing, go back around. It's going to be a little difficult though when you get near the top. So when you're not comfortable, stop. Right. This is coming out nice too. You're using the blade like that. You're drawing too. That's good. So now we've got a couple. We can move on to the other half of the onion. And we'll have sort of a half. That's good. Just wait. Nice. I'm going to just come by and collect them.
I've seen it before. Just
Red
didn't
ones
have
are
experience.
At least these.
So these
I
are looking
can't do
good.
the end. I'm afraid to get too close.
It's okay. You did more than I asked you to. You did more prep. You're not going to have to do anything tomorrow. So we'll clean these up. Do little bits. So we've got the other half of an onion. We're going to do it two different ways. The way we just did, great for sauteing, like julienning, almost a julienne with these. Great for a salad. Wow, these are starting to get
So the other part of the onion. Let's move it over here.
We're going to, all right, so the other part of the onion, we're going to cut into a dice, or won't do a small dice, we'll do a medium dice, but if you had a whole part of an onion like such, this is a little more complicated. So what you'll do is, you're going to make a cut like this. I'm using my fingers in this one, another down here.
So you're not going all the way through.
No, I'm saving a little bit on the end, like that. You notice it's a cut down through there, but not all the way through, so it won't come apart as easily. That's you can do with a whole one. Is show you this. You go into it kind of like this. One, two. Keep going down through that, just about 3/4 of the way, or a little more through the onion. It doesn't have to
On
be
one
exact.
side.
Yeah, so make it cut like this. So one, you can either have your thumb like this and up. This is a little better because you can see. Make another one. And then make one more. I did. Sorry,
I need a toothpick.
I'll let you guys make those cuts.
I already.
We'll have to put it back together. All
Let me
right.
just slice it.
This
Sure,
is
you can
probably
just
one
finish
of
it
your
off.
most dangerous cooking
You
demonstrations.
did. But we're taking our time on it, so that's important. So now, with this one, you can take your knife like this, and you're just going to draw.
I was going to say, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, just draw.
You notice I stopped. I went,
Well, you want me to finish that part off on top? You've got this side.
I'm just
Actually,
sliding.
you're good. You've got it up through the top, like so.
I don't need to do the other side.
So we've got those cuts
Wash
around the
my
top.
hands. Oh, I can do one.
So we've made those
It's
cuts.
getting really nice. I'm gonna go wash my
We're
hands.
gonna take the onion. We're gonna after we cut it, we're gonna have this side face us, the side that we cut, and we're going to position our hands again. The grip, so we're comfortable. We're standing nice and comfy. Got the knife comfortable in our hand. We've got our pinch on there, on the onion, and we're gonna slowly go through. Now this is a technique. Just watch my finger. When you come down through, you can put your hand on the edge and draw back. But it's going to take some practice, and you're going to have to think about it. You're going to go through, finger down, and pull straight back. You're going to grip, push down, finger over, and draw through. But we don't want to cut all the way across the onion yet, because that spine in the back there is going to help us do our final step. You know, 3/4. I'm sorry, I didn't explain that very well. You see, it's already coming apart.
It's already
It's like my friends do it. They like take the whole thing and they cut the bottom and the top. And they slice almost through all the way this way, almost through all the way this way, and then they just stick it on the side.
That's the same principle.
Yeah, you can do that one too. Absolutely.
I'll let you do that one. I just wash my hands. Just give it to my hands.
A couple of minutes to wrap up, Ann.
Yeah, we'll wrap up. Then we'll do the melon next week. And the last step is, we've got it all together, you're gonna draw that blade through. You see I broke that a little bit, you have to be gentle. Cut it into a fine dice. When you get down to the end, like this, just flip it over. Draw your knife back. You know the process?
Well, practice.
I know I didn't take this one, so.
Are you coming back to the office or home smelling like onions? Cut the onions. We'll save the cantaloupe for next week. So now that we're all teary-eyed from cutting these onions, feel like we have a meaningful experiment here. So do you guys feel like you've learned a few techniques or some things that you take back from your kitchens?
Yeah.
So we look for a forged carbon steel.
Stainless steel. That's all. What I'll do is I'll send you guys a little packet with all some of the terminologies, some resources to look at knives. But I'd recommend not ordering anything online yet. Go to a store and feel it.
We're going to put some information about, now we've got the show going, we're going to put it online on our webpage. So there's going to be a tab for cooking series, and then we're going to have all the recipes information under each week's cooking series for the review.
So you can watch the video?
You got to watch the video, and then Andy will put all the resources up there for you as well. Give us a few days on it, because it's the first time that we've done this one. So.
That's great. Thank you.
Great, Andy. Thanks, Andy.
You guys, thank you for being safe and being such good listeners. And I learn something new every time you do this too. So send me an email what you guys want to do next week, or maybe have anything else. See me after clean up.
All right.
Thank you.
I got holidays coming up, I'll some holiday snacks.
How to have like a turkey.
How to carve a turkey. That's a good one.
Yes.
That does take some real skill.
That is true. I need to go homework for that.
Or even a chicken, even nothing as big as a turkey, roast chicken, without mangling it.
That'll be a good challenge for us.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you have one?
Yeah, just I had a question just about cutting up meats, like chicken breast or any kind of something like that, fish, whatever it may be, that you're chopping. What knife would you recommend to use? Would you use the same one?
Well, let me ask you, is this like a cooked item, or is this something you'd be like cutting like this for a stir fry?
Yeah, cutting up. So I have a raw chicken breast, and I was going to cut it up for a stir fry.
I'd absolutely use the same knife. You just have to be more careful because it's going to be, for lack of better, it's going to be a little slimier.
Yeah.
So I would wipe it off. I would wipe it with a paper towel.
Technical word for
Whatever.
us.
Yes. Okay, so